of the Holman Center for us, and we will check back in once there is movement. We do want to remind you that if you are wanting to know what can I do to help, you can make a donation to any First Financial Bank branch all across the Wabash Valley, and all of that money will go directly to the Ferency family. Also, what will go to the family, Scott, are all of those mementos that we saw, the shadow box with his medals, some of those just given yesterday. I'm sure the FBI badge that he wanted so bad will go to them as well. Flowers, all those things.
I will tell you, I know for a fact that the FBI badge will not go to the family. That will be with Greg for all eternity. However, identifications, those will be formed into a plaque, so it couldn't be used. You know, if they're taken off the plaque, the memoriam plaque, they would be damaged, so the credentials could not be used.
Sure.
So there are measures that are taken
Sure.
in that place. But there's some solemnness, and there's obviously some legitimate reasons why some things would not be, turned over, just to protect everyone.
Absolutely. But the things that will be given, the flag, the honorary flag, yes, and also his Medal of Honor that he received yesterday. You are looking again live right outside the Holman Center. It looks like, Scott, that you had mentioned the spouses were allowed or significant others to come with their officer of relation to the service, and that's important to their mental health.
It is. Very, very important. It's not just with your significant other or spouse, it is with others. So again, everybody's level of grieving is different.
Sure.
But we share the same thing. So whatever that center is, there's components that spokes of a wheel that are involved in that center. We know Greg is the center, but you need all those spokes to make that wheel turn right. Those are all your spokes that are standing there, especially your spouse's significant others. They make things happen.
And that was just allowed in the last 10 years, you said, within what? The entire police department, within the military?
All over the country.
All over the country.
Yeah, that did not happen before. And it was not anything disrespectful. It's just that we naturally, as police officers, I can speak about, we're just very protective about our spouses, our significant others. Didn't want them involved, want them to hurt, want them to experience what we were. And boy, that was absolutely wrong. To think that way. Again, think we're trying to do the right thing, and we just didn't realize. But we've learned from our experience, and there is way more, just a huge impact on each individual officer, firefighter, etc., and the family totally, because now you have two that understand instead of just one, and one trying to figure out what's happened and what's going on.
Well, and of course that spouse wants to be there for them, and in this case they can be there physically as well.
Yes.
Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb has, of course, directed flags all over Vigo County to be at half-staff today throughout Vigo County in honor and memoriam of Detective Greg Ferency. You see all over town, perhaps, businesses, federal office buildings, and just regular people at their homes having their flags at half-staff in honor of Detective Greg Ferency and in honor of course, the entire Ferency family along the procession. Let's talk about that procession a little bit. I'm hoping that dozens of people come out, but it's going to be hundreds of cars.
Yeah, it probably upwards of close to 400 cars. Again, there's an advance party that as soon as they're dismissed, when you hear the OIC dismiss them, the officer in charge, that advance party will head, they'll break down the flags, so they'll take them off the flagpoles, get them in their vehicles, and they will head to the cemetery, while the other officers and other people that are going to be in the procession get to their vehicles, make sure they start, make sure they get something to drink, maybe a light snack, some crackers or something, because it's probably, my guess is probably a 20 to 40 minute procession.
Ooh, okay.
It depends on how long the stop in the 1042 is, but yeah, 20 to 40 minutes would probably, that's my guess.
Sure. And you had said there's going to be an advanced procession of the bagpipers and so forth.
Yes. Yeah. So I would advise anybody that is going out, you're more than welcome to see that, because it will be lights and sirens, but it will not be at procession speed. I can tell you that. It'll be at the speed limit or maybe a couple miles an hour above, but it will be lights and sirens in order for them to expedite their getting to the cemetery and get everything prepped for arrival.
Sure. And with 400, say, plus cars arriving at Calvary Cemetery, that's going to be busy. Yeah,
that's going to be a logistical nightmare. But unfortunately, yet again, that's something we've had to contend with. So we do have team members from the State Critical Incident Memorial Team and others who are able to get all those cars out there. We are we are very hopeful we'll get all those cars parked there. If not, there's a plan B and C in place. So
look at all these officers that have turned out. Sheriff's Department, State Police, and maybe you'll be better at I will at recognizing these badges. Terre Haute City Police, of course.
Yeah, and there is, and you'll see probably in a continued pan. You'll see other agencies. I saw some from Ohio, Washington, California, New York, Virginia.
Wow.
And there were people that I had talked to last night. We just happened to cross paths, and they asked if we were cops. And then we had a conversation, and this is why they were here.
And you see the white carnation. Talk about the white carnation that they're holding.
The white carnation. So the white part itself is for a symbol of purity and the oath that you took. You swore to be pure and do just right with your integrity. The red is for the bloodshed for the community. So that's the significance. It's worn over the heart if you see it through the badge, and that later will be actually placed on Greg's casket at burial site, and all carnations will be buried with him.
And it is the officer in charge, correct, that will have the last final placement of his carnation?
Yes.
All right. And again, these are white carnations with a red dot to represent bloodshed for the community. Very historic, very symbolic, and I imagine it will be very emotional. That will actually happen at Calvary Cemetery at the burial site. And again, you're looking outside Holman Center. We are waiting for the procession to start. That procession, if you are interested in showing your support, will go straight down Wabash Avenue first to Terre Haute Police Department. Then the garrison flag will be at Brown and Wabash, and ultimately end up at Calvary Cemetery. Let's talk about the portrait of valor that was given, will be given to the family. It is done historically for each fallen officer. The gentleman who did Greg Ferency's has done 1,000 of them, unfortunately. He also did Greg Pitt's as well. Look at that great picture.
Yeah, that is phenomenal. Outstanding job. And again, unfortunately, his experience has even gotten him better. With 1,000 of these, it's sad that he had to even do one.
Sure.
And now he's done one too many.
Well, that's for sure. But really captures his personality, his smile, the twinkle in his eyes that many of his friends have said he has, and the ball cap he loved to wear. He also did a portrait, of course, of Officer Rob Pitts, who passed away here in Terre Haute just 3 short years ago. And that portrait, this is a digital rendition. It will be a portrait that will be given to the family, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what a keepsake that will be. There you see Officer Pitts. This, of course, is a more professional look. It's a wonderful photo, but I love the one of Greg Ferency with his personality showing.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it captures you as soon as it did me as soon as I walked in the room, and everybody made a comment about that. So yeah, it definitely catches your eye at the very least, but your heart at the very most. Absolutely,
and that infectious smile just makes you smile. That's great. Yeah. And today was a celebration of life. Some funny stories were brought up. Certainly, lots of sadness brought up as well. But it was heartwarming to see the community come together, and if nothing else, the community of men and women in blue and all the first responders. And you had said the Terre Haute firefighters are really pitching in as well.
They are. They're helping block streets, they're helping parking, they're helping with usher services, escorting the officers out and others who are there. And just making sure everybody's okay, making sure they have water, keeping an eye out for medical signs that somebody may be struggling with. So many things that go on, not just behind the scenes there, but with other people that aren't team members, with the fire departments, with the medics, with volunteer traffic units, and just everybody pitched in. We know who they are. More importantly, they know who they are.
True, true, and lots of community support ever since Wednesday. All over the Wabash Valley, you can see, as was shown also during the funeral service, businesses putting up on their marquee. We're thinking about the Ferency family, honoring Detective Greg Ferency. Beautiful flower arrangements that were made in different colors, also red, white, and blue. Many of them you saw at the service, many of them you see here today in our studios. Put together with love.
Yeah, I actually saw, I don't remember what street it was on, but somebody had spray painted the thin blue line on aluminum siding. And I just, who does
wonderful.
that? But you know what? Your property, your business, kudos.
And tell us again what that thin blue line represents.
That's just a simple line between order and chaos. That's it. There is nothing more to it. That is what people expect us to do, to stop that bad things from happening. So we are that last line, if you will, between a normal civilized society and ultimate chaos.
And perhaps you have seen at some of the businesses that line with the number 129. That is the badge number of Detective Greg Ferency, honoring that badge number and the detective, of course, for his 30 years of service to this community. That wall, that shroud, what do you call this again? The shroud of privacy protection. Shroud of protection.
We just call it it's a shroud.
Shroud. It's ready. They've been standing there ready. Now, are they having to stand a certain way at attention?
Yeah, so this is called parade rest. So in the military, the hands are behind the back. In police, is in front.
Okay.
Because rotator cuffs, and we're a little bit older than we were when we were, 17, 18 years old.
Sure,
in
we
the
all
military.
understand that.
But right now, actually, besides doing the shroud, the family's probably using the facilities, probably getting something to drink or maybe a light snack, because it's still going to be quite some time before the end of all the services at the cemetery.
Okay, Scott, we are seeing some movement.
There's your OIC right there. So he will come out, make sure everything's set, call everybody to attention, priest right behind him, then of course the casket, and then the family will be right behind the casket.
Let's see if are we able to listen in? All right. We are not able to listen in yet, Scott, but you can walk us through this. Is that the officer in charge right there?
That is the OIC, and you'll see him. You'll see him take a deep breath here, and he'll call everybody. He just called honor guard officers to attention. Then as soon as he sees the foot end of the casket come, he will call them to present arms.
This is being led by Reverend Benjamin Seiberg, who of course led the funeral services. And these are the Terre Haute Police Department Honor Guard, correct? These pallbearers?
Yes. Now these in the suit, they're not saluting because they're not in uniform, but all the others will be saluting.
Sure.
Obviously the pallbearers / the flagfold detail, which is you see doing the escort, they will not be saluting either. You can see all the officers there.
We have chosen to pull away from that close shot for privacy reasons for the family. The family was right behind the casket, and out of respect to them, we are not showing the family members. So you at home will have to see this bird's eye view from the sky. The casket, then tell us what's happening here.
So the casket is moving feet first, and that is intentional. The casket always feet first. So that is a semblance of our departed is still walking to his, in this case, his final resting place.
Okay.
So every movement that you'll see with him is always feet first. When they take Greg out of the coach, they will turn him so he's still moving feet first. So they'll place him in feet, pull him out head first, and then rotate so he's moving feet first. And you'll see that they'll put him in feet first.
Let's just watch. I recognize several faces from that Terre Haute Honor Guard. They were many of them, the same Honor Guard for Rob Pitt's funeral just 3 years ago. That is a final salute to them? to him.
At this location. The final salute will actually occur at the cemetery, but this is here on all movements with Greg involves an intention and salute. Everyone. So when they take him out of the coach at the cemetery, that will be a salute. When they set him down, that'll be the end of the salute, and then they'll go through the firing party and things of that. That will be the final salute itself.
Okay. Now, folks are getting to their. You see officers moving. They're going to their cars, and will then line up for the procession. So the procession will start shortly.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Probably about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, that's
because
not bad.
the way they're parked, you know, we don't know what order that they're dismissed from. So,
right.
You know, you could have somebody up front be the very last person in the formation, but you may be able to see a scurry of activity where the advance party is going, because you'll notice them take off first. You know, right away to get going. And
you had said there are about 400 vehicles, but they will be led by motorcycles, a group of motorcycles. Walk us through that a second.
Motorcycles, Terre Haute PD, and then any of the FBI agencies, task force officers from other agencies. Essentially, every police law enforcement vehicle will be in front of the coach itself. The only thing that will be behind the coach are family and close friend vehicles. That's it.
Okay. News 10's John Swanner is there right outside the Holman Center. John?
Thank you, Patrice. I'm at a loss for words, to be honest with you, about what I just witnessed. We were just a few feet away. I was standing next to the camera that you all were watching as Detective Ferency was being loaded onto the funeral coach, and you could hear a pin drop. It was absolutely quiet. I know you can hear some construction going on behind us now as the parking garage of the convention center. They're working on that. They stopped working, actually, as soon as the funeral concluded. And you have several hundred people here, and the reverence was just amazing that was being shown by everyone here. Very quiet, very somber. I would hope that Greg and his family would be very pleased and honored about how that went. It was just very, I haven't seen anything like that except obviously 2 other times that we've been doing this for funerals for our officers. But now the procession begins, and there's just a lot of cars here. There's a lot of men in blue that are now making their way to their cars, and it's going to take a while for them to get into their cars to allow this procession to begin. And it appears that they're scattering, and now we're mostly civilians that are here. But it's going to take a while for this procession to get going. That's why we kind of earmarked 2 o'clock roughly as the time that the procession would begin down Wabash Avenue. So we're going to have some time for that. And it's thinned out very quickly here at Holman Center. Just to recap what I saw, just a very, like Patrice said, we saw a lot of faces on that honor guard that I've known, and they have lost now 3 people that they're very close to, and I'm sure it's getting harder and harder for them to do that job, to load another one of their brothers onto a funeral coach. And again, I just go back to what I said earlier. You could hear a pin drop here. Several hundred people gathered outside the Holman Center, and you could hear a pin drop, and it was just truly a moving and emotional moment, and it's one that I will not forget. Patrice, let's send it back to you in the studio.